Your inner world is the physics of existence. Today, we prove it. Not as a philosophy, not as a belief, but as science. Consciousness is not a passenger in the universe. Consciousness is a participant. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends up to 3 feet outside your body in every direction. Your inner state is not a private experience. It is a broadcast. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, said this near the end of his life. I regard consciousness as fundamental. In episode 3 of this series, we understood something that most people spend their entire lives never being told. That the wall behind you is not solid. That your hand is not bone. That every object you have ever touched, the chair, the floor, the screen, is compressed energy vibrating at a frequency low enough to feel solid. This is important because this is the essence of a lot of laws that works into existence of universe. And we will be able to join them in this video. We called it the ice and the ocean. Matter is ice, energy is the water. Melt the ice and it will always stay water. And we ended that episode with one line. The inner world is not separate from the physics of existence. Your inner world is the physics of existence. Today, we prove it. Not as a philosophy, not as a belief, but as science. And by the end of this episode, you will be able to understand why the most intelligent human beings who ever lived arrived at the same truth, exact same truth, from 2 completely different directions. One holding a prayer book, one holding a microscope. And why neither of them were wrong. Another aspect here is we, in this video, understand how universe and existence works, which means how in the end that $1 million bank balance, how in the end that Maserati, that Lamborghini, how in the end the multiple business projects that you want to do, the multiple real estate that you want to own, they are all part of the same energy. And if you can understand how to connect the energy, if you could dictate your inner universe that replicates your outer universe, you will be able to completely dictate your life, no questions asked. So this is not mystical, this is science happening as physics, as biology. Let's go more deeper into this. We have taught for about 300 years that the world is divided into 2 separate territories. Science, the measurable, the provable, the repeatable, the real, and spirituality, the felt, the believed, the unprovable, the personal. And we were told explicitly or implicitly that intelligent people live in the first territory, and that the second one is for people who need comfort. Here is what nobody told us. That division was never in the universe. It was in the map. The universe was never divided. We divided it. We drew a line through reality and called one side rational and the other side spiritual. And then spent 3 centuries arguing across a border that did not actually exist. Because here is what both sides were describing. The same thing. From different angles, in different languages, with different instruments. The physicists measuring quantum fields and the Vedic sage describing prana. The life force that permeates all of existence were not studying different subjects. They were studying the same ocean from different boats. Now here is where it gets undeniable. In episode 3, we understood that reality at the quantum level is not a collection of solid objects. It is a field of probability, waves of potential. Every possible state existing simultaneously until something happens, until someone observes it. This is the observer effect. and it is one of the most tested, most replicated, most undeniable finding in the entire history of science. In the double-slit experiment, a particle fired at a screen with two openings, behaving as a wave when unobserved. It goes through both openings simultaneously. It exists in all possible states at once. But the moment a measuring device is placed, the moment observation occurs, the wave collapses into a single particle, one path, one location, one reality. The act of observation, of conscious attention, collapses probability into reality. The universe, as its most fundamental level, is not a fixed thing being passively watched. It is a field of potential that responds to the act of being witnessed. Consciousness is not a passenger in the universe. Consciousness is a participant. It is part of the physics. Werner Heisenberg, one of the founders of quantum mechanics, said this: "The atoms or elementary particles themselves are not real. They form a world of potentialities or possibilities rather than things or facts." A world of potentialities. The word potentialities. Every spiritual tradition that has ever existed has been trying to tell us exactly this: that beneath the fixed surface of things lies a field of infinite possibilities. And that what we bring to that field, our intention, our inner state determines what emerges from it. Heisenberg discovered it in the laboratory in 1927. The Upanishads described it 3,000 years before he was born. Now let me bring this out of the laboratory into our body. The Heart Math Institute in California has spent 30 years measuring something that most people do not know is measurable: the electromagnetic field of the human heart. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends up to 3 feet outside your body in every direction. It is measurable with standard instruments. It is not metaphor. It is not spiritual language. It is volts and frequencies. And what HeartMath found is this: the quality of that field, its coherence, its stability, its frequency changes measurably based on what you are feeling. Sustained feelings of appreciation, care, and genuine positive emotion produce a coherent, ordered, powerful electromagnetic field. Sustained feelings of anxiety, however, frustration, and fear produce a chaotic, incoherent, weak one. Your inner state is not a private experience. It is a broadcast. It is radiating outwards from your chest at the speed of electromagnetic waves. Before you have spoken a word, before you have taken an action, before you have made a single decision, the field goes first. Everything else follows the field. This is why in episode 25 of this series, we understood that the most magnetic people in any room are not the loudest. They are the most coherent, the most internally ordered. The field they are broadcasting is clear, stable, and powerful. And the room feels it before they say a word. That is not charisma, that is electromagnetic physics. Now, I want to read you something, not from a physics textbook, from a book that sold 30 million copies around the world. The Secret. Your current thoughts are creating your future life. What you think about the most or focus on the most will appear as your life. On the surface, that sounds like motivation, like positive thinking, like something you put on a poster. But strip away the language and look at what it is actually saying. Your thoughts, which are electrochemical events that generate electromagnetic fields, are being broadcast into a quantum universe that is not a fixed collection of objects, but a field of probability that collapses into reality in response to observation and attention. This is not spirituality. That is quantum mechanics with a different vocabulary. The gravity that holds you in your chair does not ask if you believe in it. It does not require your understanding. It does not care if you are religious or atheist, educated or not, young or old. It simply operates. The electromagnetic field you are broadcasting from your heart, from your mind, right now operates the same way. You do not get to opt out. You are broadcasting whether you choose it or not. The only question is what you are broadcasting. The law of attraction is always working whether you believe it or understand it or not. It is as impartial and as impersonal as the law of gravity. It is precise, it is exact. Replace the phrase law of attraction with electromagnetic coherence and quantum field responsiveness. The sentence is still true. The mechanism is still identical. The outcome is still the same. One tradition called it the law of attraction. Another tradition called it quantum field dynamics. They were both right. They were always describing the same thing. Now, here is where episode 24 connects. We understood in episode 24 that the modern human is running on a corrupted operating system. 7 specific failures, each one producing a predictable result. And we understood the sequence. Fix the biology, forge the body, sharpen the mind, free the emotions, build with patience, become magnetic, seal the addiction leaks. Now we understand why that sequence is not arbitrary. Each module in that sequence is a direct upgrade to your electromagnetic broadcast. A person running on broken sleep and chronic cortisol dysregulation is broadcasting a chaotic, incoherent, fragmented field. The quantum universe, which responds to coherence, mirrors that chaos back. A person who has sealed the vessel, who wakes before dawn, who has trained the body, who has cleared the mental static, who has freed themselves from the validation economy, is broadcasting a coherent, ordered, powerful field. The code is not a self-improvement program. It is a frequency architecture. It is the systematic rebuilding of your electromagnetic broadcast, module by module, until what you are radiating into the quantum field matches what you actually want to attract from it. Science and spirituality arrives at this from different directions and land in exactly the same place. The most intelligent people in history never actually disagreed about this. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, said this near the end of his life. I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from this consciousness. We cannot get behind consciousness. Everything that we talk about, everything that we regard as existing, postulates consciousness. The father of quantum theory, telling us the matter is derivative from the consciousness. The Upanishad said, consciousness is the ground of all being. Planck said, we cannot get behind consciousness. Different centuries, different language, different instruments, but the same truth. Spirituality and science were never fighting each other. They were racing each other to the same finishing line. And the finish line is this. You are not a passive observer watching a fixed universe roll by. You are a conscious field broadcasting into a responsive universe that is assembling itself around the coherence of your inner state. That is not a belief system. That is the most tested, most replicated, most peer-reviewed finding in the history of human inquiry. And it applies to you with the exact same precision and the exact same indifference as the law of gravity. The wall behind you is frozen energy. Your hand is compressed quantum fields. And the inner state you are carrying right now, the quality of what you are feeling, the coherence of your thoughts, the frequency of your broadcast is not hidden always inside you. It is radiating into the field, into every room you enter, into every conversation you have, into the quantum universe that has been listening to you your entire life and giving you back exactly what you were sending. The only question left is the one we ended episode 3 with. What state is your energy in? Because that question right now is the most scientific question you have ever asked about your own life. Share this with someone who was told they had to choose between being intelligent or being spiritual. Because the most intelligent thing a human being can do is understand that they never had to choose. This is not an advice. This is the quote. See you at sunrise.